Okay, here's another contestant in the We Was series. He calls himself Black Authentic Truth, and right off the bat, you know we have an issue. I know since recently Cleopatra Netflix debacle has come out, and they tried to make Cleopatra a sub-Saharan Bantu somehow, and have to go through these twists and tell you that their verification is that someone's grandma told her that no matter what you learn at school, Cleopatra was black somehow. And that's supposed to be a verification. And then they have two white people that try to verify and give some type of input that are known Afrocentric shills that have been debunked so bad it's disgusting. Yet that's what they used in this thing that they tried to call a documentary, which goes against everything really. But maybe you didn't notice that they made all the Egyptians as also sub-Saharan Bantu somehow, because that's the real ploy there. Whether you bark about Cleopatra, the idea that we was Egyptians, and if you don't say anything, then that means you said we were. They even try to make Ptolemy, her father, black somehow. Yeah, there's a wicked twist in that, but if you thought that possibly that's the only people they've tried to claim, you're sadly mistaken. For we've now on the series got to number 7, so I think this is 8, where we tried to claim that we were the Olmecs. 2 on the Amerindians with different viewpoints and still both failures. They tried to claim, well, we said the Egyptians on that too. They've tried to claim that they were the ancient Moors, and so on. And if you think that's not it, I showed a recent video where they try to twist everything around with what's said about barbarians and so on, and end up getting you to try to believe that North Africa used to have black people in it, and that since the Greeks said that they were barbarians before all this happened, and then there's the people of the Barbary Coast, the Barbers, the Amazigh that are known. Somehow they're going to turn that into a hurdle race of stupid and straw men and end up trying to come up with the idea that the Greeks were black. And he tries to show black pottery, but those all have redheads on them, and they're only using 3 colors, so it's quite exposing. We might look at some things like that here later, other than the selection that he tries to pick out. Let's get into this. Now, he's in a library, so he's going to have to be a little bit quiet, and I'm quite often, I'm also, and just talking in the direction of the mic, not having it up to me real close, so maybe that'll match out. I did turn on the closed caption so you can try to catch some of his words, but of course it tries hard with Ebonics but doesn't have much of a catch. Let's get into this.
Hey, what's good, y'all? So I'm in the library. I like to come to the library every now and then. I ain't been in a long time, and just...
It's not called a library. It's a library. A library, maybe he's thinking that because he's fixing a lie and that the Afrocentric lives should be buried, that I'm going to call it library, but it's library. But then again, he's trying to be quiet, so let's listen here. He hadn't been in a long time, but he likes to just come around and look at pictures and stuff and try to see if he can come up with a lie. Well, he says it differently. Let's take a look at that.
Look at books, open up books and find out, different stuff. This book is the E-trustins by Time Life Books, I believe.
The E-trustins. It's Etruscan, and it's not really Etruscans. It's really almost like UH are just a lowercase e idea where it's Etruscans. And it's not hard on the skins, it's Etruscans. Like it comes from Tuscany and so on. Time Life Books. What's he got here?
So, the Etruscans were in ancient, what you know today is Italy, ancient Italy, 900, 600 BC, right? So I want you to peep this.
So he's going to look at the front of the book, and the Etruscans are Caucasians. Yeah. But I can already see an issue. It's got to be the man has curly hair shown in the picture. The guy that looks like Jesus, although it is blonde. And the guy kind of looks like, oh, I don't know, Tom Jones. He has curly hair. Or Mac Davis, if you know I'm talking about. Guy wrote a bunch of songs for other people and had a few hits back in the day. Kind of like that. Or Gordon Lightfoot, or Chris Christopherson, or so on like that. It's curlier hair, and the light shining down through it, showing you highlights in it, showing you that it's kind of blonde. And the kids is too, but mom, who looks like Lily Munster when she got a little bit older perhaps, but the lady that played Lily Munster, I mean, she also played the wife of Moses and so on in the ancient show, but Ten Commandments. Caesar B. DeMille, you know what I'm talking about. Anyhow, she looks kind of like that. They have kids like that. So the kid has kind of curly hair, but it's kind of straightened and it looks real combed to the side and so on compared to the parents. What's he going to try to say?
Notice how these are Caucasian people, but notice how they did his hair like a fro, right? Now I'm going to open it up.
Oh my gosh. So he had a fro. He didn't have curly hair or anything. It's like a fro. So that's got him a looking at pictures in books. Let's go.
So on the map, this is where they would have been at, right?
Been in a minute. Well, actually, no. Well, let's see. That's not in focus right now. Latinium down there at the bottom. Yeah, so let's go back to that.
Right.
Yeah, Latinium down at the bottom, right where the words are and stuff. So yeah, so basically what we're looking at is the calf of the boot, and out the bottom right of the picture is the rest of the boot and everything, because Rome's more synchro down there, and the Etruscans are up here. So the ancient Italians, all this type of stuff, a lot of important cities are in there and everything. But yeah, this is basically highlighting Etruscan cities of back in the day. And if you'll look, there must be 50 of them or so. But let's continue. What's he going to say here? Because, you know, this is in Europe. Just like the Minoans are, and the Greeks, and all the other people that are on the top side of the Mediterranean, which means Middle Earth, to the Caucasians that named it. Let's go.
This is gold, by the way.
I couldn't tell, and I'm sure no one watching could tell, and I'm really glad that you told us that. But look at this incredible gold work that they have here that actually shows attachments to the ancient Proto-Indo-Europeans or Scythian type people and their gold work. And it's far away from there. And there's also Greek connections and so on, which shows you something happened way back machine. I'm not going to go into it deep. It'll take me 30 minutes to try to do my thing like I do. Let's continue. Lions. Yeah. Now I'm going to let it back up here and go to his little wibble wobble can't get focus idea again. So again, what this guy's doing is he's literally went into a library and is looking through the books and making YouTube videos without ever even checking out a book. I'm certain of it. And so we're playing picture looky here. So instead of reading the newspaper that's over on the side right here on the right, he'd rather just look at the pictures and watch what he comes up with. And this idea, I don't know if you're really getting a good view of this, but this pale white lady with auburn hair and so on, and she's got a dress that's got an extra fringe on it that's a purple lilac type color, and her shawl is all that color too. And even though it looks all faded and screwed up, they figured out that the guys used like 3 different colors on this to end up giving the bright shine of certain areas, and this, that, and the other, highlighting the ridges and all of that. Like you see in the artwork of the Renaissance and stuff, the way that they really make robes look fantastic and everything. And of course there's the gold artwork and everything, and so there's definitely a paint that's all over her and her arm that you can see there, which is a real pale color. But might be a good time to point out here that I quite often refer to these people, especially when we're talking about the Egyptians, because some people seem real confused when they see a red ochre colored male and pale females. And it doesn't seem so confusing when you realize that everybody around the Mediterranean, including the Minoans, the Etruscans, right here, the Mitanni, Sumer, Persia, all kinds of people, including the Greeks and the Egyptians, used the same iconography of pale females and red ochre males. Well, a male generally gets more of a tan than a woman, especially if she's staying in and tending the house. This is something that civilization brought. But of course, before that point, she would have just had a tan too. Well, actually, a lot of women still had a tan at this time too. It's really a caste system kind of thing, where there's a nobility situation where they really, really don't have to go out. In fact, they've found their cosmetics and so on, and already at this point they're starting to powder themselves with like calcite chalk to end up staying real pale, powder my nose, things like that. In fact, after the Renaissance, males and females were doing that, wearing wigs and all kinds of stuff. But let's see what he gathers out of this picture here of this woman he can't deny is a Caucasian somehow. But what does he have?
Took all the paint. They done took all the paint off this sister.
They done took all the paint off of this sister. I'm not sure if it's a visual cortex problem or a cognition or a frontal cortex type idea or a spectrum kind of thing or some kind of special autism or what that possibly would be, but no one looking at this would try to claim that she was some type of sister.
And let me just say, I don't believe these were black people that in America, but these were a dark-skinned race. I gotta talk.
So he admits out here that he's not saying this is the black people that were in America. Who? Who is he talking about? These pale Caucasian Etruscans. Well, of course they aren't, but he is trying to tell you that they were a dark-skinned race while looking at this pale lady. Still with the paint on it, but he says they took the paint off. A lot of these statues lose the paint. A lot of people don't know that all the ancient Greek and Roman statues that we know about, most of them were all painted. They find traces of paint, and they can tell you, hey, you know, the hair on this Caesar Augustus guy was red. But here we have him trying to say that, and I'm going to back it up and let him go through the whole thing where he can tell you he doesn't think it's black people in America, but yet he's going to claim we.
Black people that in America, but these were a dark-skinned race. I gotta talk low. This was a dark-skinned race. They done took all the paint, left the gold, took all the color off her face, left the hair brown. She looked like a damn ghost.
That's odd. She looks like a ghost to him, he says. whenever ghosts are something that's also from Caucasian mythology and everything, and you could even blend it into an idea of religion, but Caucasians and that pale thing, and you lose all your need to have to work and so on, and whenever you go into heaven, all those pictures of angels, of course, are all pale, even though conspicuously they are up in the clouds closer to the sun, getting more UV or whatever. Well, you could make up all kinds of things on that, but somehow she looks like a ghost. I wonder if black ghosts would really look just like the white people ghosts or anything, especially when they're not mentioned in the Bible and such, but or any other religion really, by the way. But I wonder if their ghost would actually be something that looked a little more, maybe more like a shadow.
Right. Now, does it look like Caucasian people to you?
Does it look like Caucasian to people to you? It definitely does to me. He's going to try something here in a minute with the Caucasian phenotype and everything and this idea and try to go, well, it looks like they have braids in their hair, therefore, even though they're Caucasians with a Caucasian phenotype and everything, he asks the odd question, do these look like Caucasians to you? This really exposes the cognition problem. If you're at this point, really, it's sad. Let's see what he says.
Does this look like Caucasian people?
Yes, we said yes. All these people are Caucasians. In fact, all the ones that seemingly blacks with this issue try to claim we're all Caucasians too. You never want to claim yourself, but somehow you're all the way up here, these whitey cracker Etruscans. Yep.
Look at the braids.
Oh, there it is. The braids. As if blacks own braids, or if there was anything that really connects them to braids. Any of the old pictures you see of them, they don't have braided hair. That apparently is something later. They never had rope. Braids is a type of way of making rope that people did into their hair and stuff. It's a stylistic type of thing. Well before any black people in their modern form existed, 4400 BC Asalar man, there are people tens of thousands of years that have been found that have remnants of braids and art even that shows they're like a braided type of hair that's going on. Something very much like this, and is found in the Egyptians and Minoans and all kinds of people. Let's continue.
Now, this is a pendant of one of their gods.
If I was to tell you right now, this was actually Santa Claus, what would you say? If I told you this was the second coming of Jesus and he let his beard grow out, what would you say? If I told you that that cap on top is not Bantu knots like some try to pretend when they see swirls like snails on their head like on the top of Buddha, that that's actually a sacred symbol. Going back to those witch hat looking things that I showed you that are actually a solar and lunar calendar to keep up with over a period of years. But it looks like Gandalf. But yet that's a cap and a crown type of thing. What would you say to that? Is that possible? The fact this is covered with those perfect little BB sized, smaller than BBs of a BB gun. These little pin-headed type gold dots are remnants of the same type of gold work that's done. Well, I've actually shown it to you in ancient Spain, But we've also proved that the hub of the people doing this are the Proto-Indo-Europeans and their extensive gold work. But now let's try another one. If I told you this guy has ears on him like a goat and little horns right above that, and that this was the Etruscan version of Pan, if you will, known by the Greeks, like the satyr Pan, have the goat man. But this guy's going to get stuck on that because not only here, but he finds another representation and he goes. You can also tell he's editing through some pictures here that he's clipped out because that doesn't fit his narrative. But let's continue.
This is a painting of one of their guys in gold. Don't look like, it doesn't look Caucasian to me. I don't know about you.
Looks Caucasian to me, but you're going to find other representations that don't have a nose and an area that looks like Jesus Christ, but ends up looking like a goat kind of man, a twisted thing. That we find all kinds of artwork through the Greek showing the same kind of idea on it, where it's kind of like blended creatures and stuff. It's the end of animism type of things, but because of that and the fact that that looks more negroid, he tries to think in his mind, then he's going to focus on that. Let's continue.
But it don't look like it's European as you know them today.
The Etruscans look very much like Europeans, so did the Minoans, and in fact, the DNA that's all been showing up from ancient Egypt shows you that they're closer related to the Europeans of modern day, even in their local people, and that's because way late in the game, at post-Roman periods, Black African DNA showed up of West Sub-Saharans, and that changed it to where it's no longer like the ancient Egyptians. It's like exactly backwards of everything they try to say, but this guy is caught up on gold, of course, and it's a gold necklace. He's got a gold necklace, so that looks more like Jesus than it does anything that really is like a goat. So it's almost like that Hathor idea that we have also, and so we get that concept going on. But again, other depictions are going to look a little more goatish, and then next thing you know, he's going to make a claim.
But Pete, this was in Europe. This is before any of the people you think is Europeans.
We was before anybody in Europe, and he's looking at this thing here and trying to pull that off. Again, I mean, maybe he needs glasses. Maybe that's it.
Look at that. Don't look Caucasian to me.
Looks Caucasian to everybody watching. I'm positive. Even black people that'll actually admit it. One thing's for sure, that nose and the nose we saw you starting with have nothing to do with each other. But later you're going to find ones that do, and it's going to start, if you're verified in your mind with this, oh my gosh, when you find these other representations that look like a goat man, you're going to go crazy.
See what ends up happening is that they literally take the paint off of these statues.
This is the attempt at whitewashing, and when he's staring at it, it's got paint on it. It's got a dark black with brown highlights beard on a red ochreish like skinned body, and then a brown highlighted black hair on top, and it's got a little nose. I know he's going to go after cracked nose. They always say cracked nose. So imagine when you saw him, and if you were to cut all of his nose off, it would stretch from the end of his mouth to the end of his mouth. But if you look at this guy who just has the tip cracked off, no, he doesn't. This man has a kind of small nose. wow, it would actually look kind of dinky, kind of small. Well, that's only because these Etruscans drew their eyes a little too big. Almost an anime situation if you look at it. The Sumerians used to do that too. It meant a whole lot to them. The eyes. Yeah, so what's he say?
Like you thinking in your mind, that statues come, the color of. You see what happens.
Apparently he screwed that all up, but then he left it in with his edit. What happens in your mind is, oh no, that ain't working out good. Let me start over. You see what happens is
They literally take the paint off of these statues. There's been
the one with the paint on it that looks like a Caucasian man. Anybody catching this?
no statue that you've ever saw that was from the ancient time that wasn't whitewashed, where they literally try their best to lighten it and make it look as light. If they can't make it look white, like just plain stone, they'll leave it like that. But what they will.
So I had to let it go on past a little bit just to hear enough of a sentence here, but seems like he used that magic word they think they have, whitewashed. Well, you're pointing at a painted statue, still got paint on it. So, and it's not painted as a black person, and the phenotype isn't, no matter if you have the paint on it or not. Look, we could just pour a bucket of green paint over the top of it, and people would still be able to go, yeah, that's a Caucasian. You go, oh yeah, the nose is knocked off. You're like, come on.
Do is break off the nose.
There you go.
So that's one thing they will do. Is break off.
That's one thing they will do. Is any statue, even if there's 10 more of the same one that does have the nose, if they find one with the nose knocked off, you see that means West Sub-Saharan Bantu, because they don't like their nose. They know their nose is so radically different. It's an easy moniker to tell. So anytime they see a nose knocked off of anything, they try to pretend that it means them. You can still tell where the extent of the nose nostrils went on this statue right here. And this lady has a fairly skinny nose. And though the tip's knocked off of it, she never would have had a big cauliflower nose. Any big wide nose whatsoever on it. But he's trying to get you to believe that. I believe if we got a better look at this, it might have some still color to her hair. I've seen one exactly like this that actually has blonde hair on it, but let's just get it in more.
Off the nose. Because they don't want you to see that negroid nose. Now, if their nose...
Now, they don't want you to see the negroid nose. But now he's fixing to tell you now if the nose doesn't look like a negroid nose, they just go ahead and leave it alone in the paint and everything. So the scheme here is, if it's got a knocked off nose, it had to be black. You follow me? You following him?
Don't look so negroid, they'll leave it.
So he tries to pretend to tell you that this is a negroid, but because it has a white person's nose on it, they decided to leave it. Blacks in America that have a lot of admix will get this small nose effect. Michael Jackson went through something, said his dad called him Big Nose because all of them had a little smaller nose, and it made him feel bad, and that was the reason he started screwing up his face, and next thing you know, he looked like Speed Racer from the old comics, and paler than me, and I'm Irish. And it doesn't matter if you're black or white, but he chose white. Little white kids to hang around too, let's not get into that, but this is one of those statues, I believe, I can even show you that whenever you look at it, It's got gold for hair, signifying these people had blonde hair. But what's weird is a lot of them will have brown beards or dark beards and so on. So maybe the carpet don't match the curtains there. But he's trying to get you to believe that the reason they left this one alone is because it's a highly admixed black. She got that good nose. She got that good hair. What the hell is he trying to pull off? Well, look at this hair-looking rope, or rope-looking hair here. It's got braids, so he can't even see a phenotype or anything if he recognizes braids. If you've looked at him at the start, he had little black girl braids in his hair.
They'll leave it, but you can look at the phenotype.
He claims that's a Negroid phenotype. He knows the word, so he pretends to know what it means, and then he turns around and points at this thing directly and says, but you can look at the phenotype. Again, I ask you, put it down in the comments, do you think this is an ocular problem where he just needs glasses? Or is it what that hooks up to you in his brain that's not working correctly and glasses aren't really going to help? Or is it a mental issue that somehow affects his ability to cognate things? I mean, I start to run out of ideas other than just jealous to the point that he can't see straight. But there's got to really be something to that. I mean, doesn't there? So again, he called that a phenotype that would be classified or that he easily recognizes as a Negroid. Are you following him?
Look at the hair. They were not Caucasians as you know it.
They're not Caucasians as you know it. Oh, what? Somehow we was Caucasians. I don't know. That's just, that comment right there just, well, what kind of Caucasians are you thinking they were? Well, you'll find out. They weren't Caucasian. They were black people. He really keeps a couple of the pictures out of this little grouping here, but you see that guy peeking over the other one that's a little darker for some reason. He's going to go with, they left that one alone. I know it looks like a white person, so I'm going to leave that alone and just say, well, they left that alone because he looks white. And then he's going to go around and look, and if he finds somebody with a cracked nose, he's going to claim, well, these are black ones. Watch this.
You see, they left his nose because his nose fit more of their agenda, but you can still tell that was a black man. Now look at this one. Nose is knocked off. Nose knocked off. You see that he was black, you can still see the color.
You see that the table behind him is a chocolate brown. Not the book picture, but the table behind him, kind of giving a gleam. That's chocolate brown. Is that person that, or is he red ochre? And are there red ochre males and pale females all over the Mediterranean and the known world? Like if you looked at Herodotus' old map, you'd see they didn't even know sub-Saharan really existed. And that map, therefore, when you really hone it down, they don't show the bottom of Egypt. They're basically showing you wherever Caucasians were at the time, that whole map. That's where that is. Who are the people trying to pull off this? The E-trustins was black people, and you can see it. Well, it's the Bantu of far west sub-Saharan Africa that didn't know the world existed. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what lends people to go that this must be something to do with jealousy hooked up to their cortex or something, or it's really affecting it. But he's going to try to pretend because he sees red ochre, this means black. Now let's try that again. red ochre, black. Nope, that's not the same.
See what I'm saying? No.
So these are different depictions of goddesses that are here and other creatures. And if you look at the one that, well, not the one you can't see out the left, but the second one there, it's got that weird face. That's that Medusa concept you see on shields from all kinds of places around. She's got snakes in her hair and so on like this. But these are different goddesses. So let's see what he tries to say about this. He said, you see what I'm saying? While he's looking at a pale woman with straight hair and blue eyes. Wait till you get a good look at it, and then try to see how he can pull this off in his mind. Tip of the nose is broke off, but you can see the nostrils and so on, where the bridge comes down and what it would look like with it had the nose on there. Let's put a little bob on the end of it. Blonde Caucasian lady. Oh wait, her hair's yellow looking. What are you gonna say?
See what I'm saying? Nose broke off.
Nose broke off. Wow. That just qualifies everybody. You could take a picture of Richard Nixon, and if you could take the statue and chip the little tip of his nose off, all of a sudden he's black, people. You see that? All it takes is chippy nose. Here we see a real pale Caucasian woman with straight or wiggly hair there and then braids down the back again. Oh no. And she's got rouge dots on her chin that almost look like a doll. Wait for it, he claims. Well, nose broke off. She's got braids. Therefore, that only means West Bantu. Here we go. Oops. Now he left it in, people. Oh gosh. So you see the lady and her skin is painted. It's not the color of that stuff on the left over there. It doesn't have any paint left on it. This was kept in a tomb or someplace and it didn't go through too much humidity or change. So she's got this peach skin. She's got this look to her that's just, oh my gosh, so European. Auburn red hair, that darker red hair. And what is he going to try to pull off on this? Because, oops, he showed it.
Now, in your mind, you probably would have thought these people, this is how it usually look. All the
Now, the way it usually looks is even paler than the one on the right, but with rouge dots on the cheek. That's the way how it usually look.
This has some color, and they tried their best to make her appear to be a Caucasian woman.
They tried their best to make her look like a Caucasian woman. Now he tries to veer away, and he ends up, whoops, here it is again.
And here.
So now he's going to show you this red-headed lady, real pale, got a nose, got blue eyes. Caucasian phenotype, 1000%, looking like a Minoan. What's he gonna try to put on this one?
They tried their best. Chipped off some of the nose. Even tried to color the eyes blue.
I'm sorry, the very tip of her nose is chipped. But we can tell where it would have been the extent of at the time. And then he said they tried. This is actually him trying. The sad thing here is, now, after self-exposing himself far too many times and making these claims, this next one he feels like he'll be able to pull off real good because it actually does fit his lie somewhat. But this is that goat god. Here we go.
Look at this one. You see the games that they play?
You see the games that they play?
Look at this. The paint is gone.
The paint is all still there.
Tried to chip the nose.
Didn't try, did chip the nose, still able to tell who it is. This is not a black person, not one that you've shown is, but you've got that other one back there that kind of looks like it. It's the goat man, but you're trying to lie about pale Caucasian red-headed ladies with blue eyes. So if you can get somebody to believe that, no telling how much you'll have them on a hook whenever you try to go for this wewas goat man.
Still has a little color.
Oops, he admitted it. Still has a little color. Yeah, it picked it up. Still has a little color. That's amazing. So now we go back to goat man.
But you see the games that they play.
But you see the games that they try to play.
So the games that they play when it comes to...
This is the games that they play when it comes to real history and discussing who they actually were as a person on the planet. And they don't want to mention anything with West Sub-Saharan Africa. They're too busy claiming everybody used to be black somehow. He's going to say it again here in a minute. Everybody used to be black. And then somehow Whitey Cracker took over and we went stupid and God knows what.
To hide in history that every ancient nation was a dark-skinned nation. And they literally have created or implanted themselves into history.
They're attempting to now implant themselves in history. The only problem is this is a complete joke. You're looking at a red-headed lady with blue eyes and trying to claim that's black people. So what the fuck? Well, you can tell he skips quite a bit here going through the book, but when he finds more of that God, the basically the Pan of the Etruscans, then he gets stuck on it again.
Now in this one it says that a Etruscan ruler is sitting at a table facing a statue of a goddess.
That's a ruler facing a statue of a goddess, you know, like you'd have a statue there and everything. And so now I know it's just black and white and hard contrast too. Such a hard contrast that even the crackle stuff on the back and the lack of paint missing slightly is showing up as just a static that's on it. But this is a red ochre male and a pale female again. Wish it was colored. But how's he going to try to pull this off? Because this looks a little more Jesus. And the phenotype we're looking at here directly from the side doesn't have subnasal prognathism at all, like blacks are known for. A more simian type appearance. Neither does she, but what does he pull?
So the goddesses were white? That's what they would want you to believe.
So now he wants you to believe that the other one is a black person somehow, but they're worshiping a white god. Surely you can understand that with all the black people now worshiping a Caucasian Jesus that doesn't mention anybody in the book of the Old Testament or the New Testament except for Caucasians. Yeah. Oh, there is a side mention, but let's not go with that.
And notice everything that is white has some type of pigment in it, even the walls, his shirt, even at the bottom, the goddess's legs. Now get up to the face. It's perfectly white. That shows you that.
I see specks around her face, around her ears, under her chin, her throat, across her chest. I agree with you, it looked less speckled, but if they went over it twice whenever they put it versus the other paint, it might have been able to last. But because she's white, he's got to try to discredit it, and what does he try to pull off? Oh, meanwhile, there's swastika type symbols with those constant swirls right above these people at the same time.
That has been tampered with. Right, so this is the games that they play.
This is the games that they play.
This is the lies that they teach.
This is the lies that they push. You'll find that he selects certain things. Just after this, I'll try to do a quick internet search. Same thing that he should have been trying to do, and see if I can see any black people or anything like he tries to pull.
Now, a reminder, this is ancient Romans. These are the people before the Romans.
This isn't ancient Romans, clown. This is the ancient Etruscans, or whatever you called them. It's the Etruscans. They're different. They got assimilated in, so on. But if you want to try to be correct about history, let's be correct. Instead of just saying, these are the Romans. It'd be like standing in Texas, pointing across the border to Oklahoma and go, there's the Texans. The hell are you talking about? Notice this creature that's here is not a real human in any way and is never ever intended to be depicted as such, that this is this ethereal creature like Pan. And here he's shown with a blue beard and blue eyes. Oh, is this Bluebeard the pirate? No, these are the Etruscans. You can also see his hair that goes down the back on the left is alternating blonde, blue, blonde, blue. Funny, those colors show up on Egyptian headdresses. Let's continue.
Now look at this. Now, remember what I was saying earlier about how they find statues like this, scope artifacts like this, and then they wipe off the paint. Everything that you've ever seen, I don't care what kingdom, where it was, it looked like this. And then what you get is something like this in the history books.
Oh, that looks like some child's play versus the other carvings that are done there. But I don't think this one was ever painted at all. This thing we're looking at here, I don't think it was ever painted at all. But I know the other one was. And you see, this ruins his narrative because they've got quite a few fistfuls of this depiction of this god here that he claims they tried to whitewash and wipe all the paint off of. In fact, there's a whole lot more of them that have some paint than don't, and a lot more pictures through all the burials that are there. One thing that they're never trying to show is a negroid, and I'll show you that here in a minute, but let's get on with his stupid so then I can debunk it.
You get something where the paint has been totally taken off.
Yes, I can tell the paint's been totally taken off. The red ochre goat man.
And something like this was just slept through the cracks. This brother,
He actually said the expression, this was slept through the cracks. This one got by so we can know the real black authentic truth, as he calls himself.
right here, or I keep saying brother, right? But this man, melanated man, or a man that is a black man or a brown.
Boy's real confused with that. First he called him brother, and then he tries to cover that up with, well, he's a melanated man, or maybe he's just tan. I don't know. I haven't got any clue. Or a man that's a black man, or I
brown man, he slept through the cracks, because usually they would have broke that nose off real quick.
Oh yes, because they're always trying to hide it. Yeah, the one color that he him and hawed around on there is didn't quite hit is red ochre, and it's not black. It's a Caucasian artistic expression as seen in all the ancient people around the Mediterranean, including the Egyptians. And of course, the pale women thing they can't answer for because their women can't be demelanated in any way. Oh my God. And he says that they would have broke the nose off of this one, as if that would have saved the idea. Or if you could crack the nose on this one, that's what saved the idea that this doesn't look like Barry White somehow. Yeah, they found one. Problem is, this dates from like 600 BC, 400 BC, what is it? 400 BC. So, this is preemptive to them knowing that sub-Saharan even exists. Look at Herodotus' map from the same time, they don't know it at all. Oh, they hear things and all this BS, and after Herodotus, people are thought to be Ethiopians down there because he made a mistake. I did a recent video on about it. Look at it, Ethiopians in Memnon, because in all the Greek tales before that, they were to the edges of the earth in the far east where the sun rises and the far west. Had nothing to do with south in any way or shape or form. But because they went all the way to those places and did not find a people that matched their description, because they're supposed to be where the sun rises and sets real close, so they're like burnt. They had this mythology that the sun had gotten too close to them. So whenever they go to sub-Saharan, the equator, and they figure out the equator of the world, they try to attach it to what we call Ethiopia today, which was never really called that. It was called Abyssinia until just recently, but that's all gone. Let's just continue here.
A Caucasian person that will argue with you up and down that these people were white people.
Everybody in all humanity knows all these people you're trying to claim are Caucasians and white people, as you like to try to say, regardless of how tan they are or olive-skinned or anything in any way. But what you try to pull off is what makes you the joke on the world stage, because you keep trying to claim any other civilization, and you're always reaching out towards Caucasian people because they were so advanced. You want some of that. They say, well, here's Nubians you're not even related to and didn't know they existed either, but they at least have dark skin. And you go, oh no, we weren't the Nubians, we were the Egyptians.
And get upset because what they say, they'll say, you're a sub-Saharan African, you need to just, you're trying to take other people's culture, you're trying to, all of that crap. When the proof is right there.
And people try to tell him, and it looks like a clown on the world stage. And then his answer back is, the proof is right there. And you go, okay, look, there's 10,000 pieces of art here. There's 6 of that guy that's a goat thing. Let's pretend that all of these and these and these and these are goddesses and gods. And so therefore, we're going to set them aside because they're not even talking about themselves as the Etruscans, as being a person or anything, some ethereal creature, whatever you want to give it is. That's a goat man. Set them all aside. Now, what do you have? Oh, you have nothing. Oh, you have one picture that had some red ochre on it, which you tried to call black. Like you can't understand the difference between black or red.
And what I said was, the people that conquer is the people that write the history. But we're brainwashed with that history. Look at this.
So, yeah, they're brainwashed with that history. See, they get to write the history. Well, they never even had writing at all. They were a pre-neolithic people, and so they don't have anything like that whatsoever. So they're real jealous and envious, and the next thing you know, he's trying to pull off stuff like, well, look at this. If you look, there is red ochre males here, but it's a little tanner. And then there's a real pale female there, and another red ochre guy. And this is in a famous tomb that they found of the Etruscans. Why would they possibly put other white people? He's going to get you to believe that this is a mosaic. And because of that, they could easily repaint it. Like this sealed tomb here was going to be opened one day, and when they did, we want to trick people. So the black Etruscans drew themselves as Caucasians just to help the thing go. Does that make any sense to anybody? Did you follow me on that? No? Good.
Now it's easy to do a fresco. A fresco is a painting on stone, so it's easy to lighten this up. But if you just do your research and you look at the other ones, you'll see that they're black. But the stone really don't lie.
So he wants you to believe that the ones that you see when you try to look it up, they lightened it up, and the real ones are black. The other ones are black, and you go, all I'm seeing are light people here. What's going on? Well, there's this guy that has Caucasian skin or red ochre type skin on here, but again, he's that goat-eared god. But now he's got a beard that's got extra gold encrusted into it, and his hair's encrusted with gold. But what's he gonna double? Here's an oddity. He takes a group of them and puts them all together. So what would you think the guy on the left looks like? Because that almost looks like a Greek pig man or dog-faced man, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like that? And it's more like Greek than the Etruscan art, if you will. But the one in the center of the top he really likes. But notice how that doesn't fit with any of the other ones. Even the one on the right, which does have big lips, or at least the bottom lip is for some reason, because he's kind of going, oh. But at the same time, he's got blonde hair. Let's see if I can tilt it down just a little bit. And the one on the left here looks almost like Zeus or something, but that's another representation. Oh, what does that look like? The next picture is the one that he just tried to show with the gold hair. The next one over here is a goat man that has Caucasian phenotype and everything, and then this little mustache on him, but goat ears. And then the one on the right, the same type situation, but he's going to try to pull something here. What can he possibly pull off? I want you to believe that something that looks like here on the left is a black person, and they actually did knock off the nose. Look, dude, that's the nose of a goat person, and you're really embarrassing yourself.
And these was the ancient Romans and how they saw themselves.
Etruscans, as you would say. Etruscans, not Romans. Try to get at least something right in this.
When they go back and whitewash things, they'll have you thinking that it was a multicultural society.
Oh, now they whitewashed all of them and made it look like that one in the other picture, but this one, they seem to leave somebody, the servant, the bard, the lute, who's playing the song while these white men get down on their get jiggity with it, looking like they're doing some kind of dance like an Egyptian. And he's going to tell you, well, now the secret is in this tomb that was never supposed to be open or seen ever again, that they faked it out that special way because when the tomb got finally opened, they wanted it to be a multicultural society because that's what people are trying to push today. Wasn't in effect a couple hundred years ago until all of recorded time through the time that this is being created, but he wants to put that multicultural situation on it. Well, look at the phenotype of the guy that's there drawn in dark. He's not even got any prognathism or whatever. I just, oh no, I failed to see your lie here, buddy. But you did go to the library, remember?
And once again, let me just put a disclaimer. I'm not claiming to be them. I don't say black people are them in America, but what I'm saying is that all nations were dark nations in antiquity. That's what
he's trying to push is, well, I'm not saying it was the black people in America. Imagine if we decided, now check this out, to go ahead and go with it and make some fictitious black people up that we could prove that they never even saw or met and aren't related to it all, and then go ahead and agree with it. But they weren't. They were still exactly what they are. These pre-Neolithic people that didn't know the world existed here recently and didn't have anything to do with any culture that went on in civilization. It was brought to them. And now they're caught up in this cargo cult. Can't think straight. And I'm still wondering with this guy if it's both or just a mental problem or does he need glasses? No, I think we're past that.
I'm saying. And somewhere along the line, a people got some power.
What do you mean, a people?
And painted themselves into history.
So we was everybody in shit, including these Etruscans that I can't even make you believe some bullshit I'm trying to push. But everybody used to be black. And the white men are so advanced, they took it all from us, knocked us stupid, and left us someplace. Is that what you're going to try to pull? How disgusting. How self-exposing. Please, you've got to stop this, or we'll never stop giggling. Quit.
Chiseled themselves into history. That's knocking off the noses.
Oh, now, if I can put knock nose in there one more time. There it goes, with a chisel. I'm gonna knock it. Oh yeah, they also had chisel and did artwork. That's not found in sub-Saharan Africa till up to the very end. And again, it was brought to them too. Now you don't just come up with wax casting and pass 6 forms of methods and 3 different type of metals and end up there. Come on, man.
And lie their way into history.
Blacks are trying to lie their way into history. It's funny how what they say is always so self-exposing. It literally just says what their fears are and throws it right in your face, and he tries to go, they are. Like when they say all this crap and then they go, see, they're racist. And it's like, dude, you the last 15 minutes you've been so racist. Don't try to pull some kind of thing. So we're going to look at some Etruscan art, and if you look, just small pictures here, you can really see it almost looks the same. I'm just going to flip a few of these. I just got a battery warning. So let's look here. Oh, wow. I'm quite positive that's, yes, can't you tell that they just took the paint off, even though the paint's still there, and that's a Bantu. Here's a better one. How about this one? This is called Vatica. This is where the Vatican comes from and one of their gods. And she's got goat ears and then horns and kind of looks like a Baphomet thing and all this stuff. And I don't know you or not. It's got the nose knocked off of it, but I can tell that's a pale Caucasian person. No one is stupid enough to try to claim that it is. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Here's that one picture he tried to show right here. Huh. Look at that phenotype. Huh. Wow. That's just so self-exposing. Let's just look at a few more of these guys on the way out the door. If the battery kicks, hopefully it'll end up saving it still. Look at these whitey crackers getting down with it. Guy on the right has red hair. Guy on the left, brown, but he has this purple cap on. Word. Let's try that again somewhere. Well, here's one. Oh, it looks dark. Bronze gets real screwed up over time. He has blonde hair that has gold mixed into it. No one's confused about anybody here, bud. What? Who has a mental problem out of these people? All of the world, or just these West Sub-Saharans that are pretending they don't know where they come from and are trying to claim everywhere? They know where they come from. They've been told all their life. So it's nothing new. Here's one for you. There's that goat guy right there on the left. There he is. Here's the guy on the right. The guy on the right, Oh, that's Whitey Cracker. Of course. Let's look at the guy on the left. Let's look at his arm. Let's look at his legs. Let's look at that and what color he is versus that. Ooh, who are you trying to get to believe something? It's a goat man. And if we don't show him head on, they're not going to have an artistic expression that has a goat nose on it. Guess what? Just look through all of these. Here's one for you. Late Etruscan. Okay, now I'll give you a question. Here's a matching game. We've been looking at one of the other and are now currently looking at one of the other of the Caucasian European Etruscans that we all know well are a West Sub-Saharan. Sorry, this is actually a Nubian type. So you still didn't even get in the picture, but which is which? Can you tell? If I took that picture and then I said that look and phenotype as opposed to, oh, I don't know, maybe that look and phenotype, what would you end up saying? He saw this and said, oh, there's braids, therefore. Also, there was easily seen Caucasians with a chipped nose, and he's like, therefore. You've seen it. Whitey Cracker woman getting down. Oh yeah, they had stringed instruments, all kinds of things like the lyre. Look, she's wearing glove-like shoes that match her cape with the red in it. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, they had cool shoes and stuff too. Very advanced people. Yes, to end it, I'll show again another depiction of red ochre males and pale females and musicians, as I was just referring to, and this female that's got red hair. Yep, and the swastika that's right here. And there's some more over on the wall right there. Yeah, see, so what you're doing here and have done at least 2 or 3 times in this debacle here is tried to claim the ancient Aryans were yourself somehow. Yeah, is far possible in the human reality of things, and yet you're still trying to claim it. It's so self-exposing. But we're on to another one because they've made other claims. Who could you guess it was next? Write down in the comments. Let's see if you get it right. Peace.